enable that. Enable encryption on your, use virtual private network. Very, very important, especially when you travel outside your institution and you have to log into your organization institution. Please make sure you go through a VPN, right? Or create guest network. So when you come to my house, I always try to practice it before I take it out. So people come to your house, oh, can I use your Wi-Fi? When you come to my house, I have a guest network and I have my internal network. So give me your password, then I'll give you the guest access. Right? Because I have restricted all the connection within the guest access. So if you even come into my network later on, you are stuck. You can't come into my main network. That is what we need to do, right? Change your ID. So most of the times we buy these routers, right? And we keep the same name, the password that comes with it, that's all that we use. No, it's not safe. It could be that the same password is being used by other devices. So always change it. We talked about multi-factor authentication. Segment your network. That is where the guest network and your network. So in the universities, if you are doing research, make sure that where the confidential data is, you segment them. Put them in one network. HR, one network. Administration, one network. So research, one network. So if a hacker breaks into your network, they are confined within that network. They can't traverse through it. There was a case with Target, one of the superstores in US. They got breached through their third party. And by that time, Target had not segmented their network. So when this hacker entered their network, they were able to move from where the people's data is, then they moved to the credit card, they moved to people's address, they were able to just be dancing through the network. But if the network is segmented, it restricts them to wherever they have reached. And change default passwords. Very, very important. Whenever we buy devices, it comes with already set password. Right? Do you have administrators? I mean, those who are IT guys that manage servers. Right? Okay, so it comes with admin 1, 2, 3. And people just keep it and they connect it to the internet. Whenever they scan your network and they get to know that this is the type of firewall you are using, and this is the version, they know that as that firewall is being used, as it came the way, when it came, the password that was on it, it's similar for all. So they will use that same password and they will break your system. So whenever you get a password, change the default. When you get a system, change the default. Next slide. Update your system regularly. It's very, very important. Hardware, software, right? You should have an inventory of them. Let's see by hands. Our department, we know all the devices that we are using. We don't have the numbers. We should be able to have an inventory. We have Mac number this. Put asset tags at the back of it, right? And you should be able to keep records of what the operating system on that. Do we know that Windows 10 is going to expire next year, October, right? Windows 10. So if you are still using Windows 10, you should have records.
Yeah, I'm still using Windows 10.
Right? So end of life. Right? So avoid end of life. Some devices are there, they have expired. Am I doing all the time? Almost done. Right? End of life. So always know if the technology that you are using, you are still using iPhone 6. And what is the current version of the update?
13.
It's 6. Yeah, I'm not talking about the phone itself, but the operating system on iPhone.
Okay.
You know the current 18.01. Check your iPhone right now. What version are you using? When it comes to the updates, probably you're using 15 something. When you update, it's too much, costs so much data to update it. So you don't want to do it, right? You are opening yourself for an attack, right? So whenever you're using end of life, make sure next slide, you update it. Data backup is very, very important as researchers. Before we travel, make sure you back up your data. In my university, I developed a document that I call it technology travel best practices. So before any researcher has to travel, I meet with them and I walk them through before, during, and after what they need to do. In your observation, have you seen people coming from outside, coming with their work computer with a tag behind? Have you really seen that? Hardly. You don't allow them to travel with their personal laptop that is issued for them that they are using to do their work. So when they are coming, they come with what we call a loaner laptop. And even the loaner laptop, we have restricted their access to such a way that as I'm presenting, I can have only access to my PowerPoint. If I want to work, I will do remote desktop, of which we have set the client on the desktop. Then they can remote into their work laptop, they do their work, everything is over there, and when they finish, they can't download, and they cannot upload. Yes, because we are protecting what? Your research data, your intellectual property, and you yourself. And even when they travel, they don't connect. I mean, if they connect to the Wi-Fi, we tell them there are some guidelines that we give to them that they need to do. I'm sure most of us, when we see free Wi-Fi, then we connect, right? The moment you connect, somebody is sitting at the back and looking at, oh, okay, oh, you have this, you have this. They're able to see everything. So those are some of the things that you do. And also be very careful about cloud storage. Which of them are you going to use, right? Some of them, they are malicious, so always be very careful. Use the approved and ones that are really good. Next slide. Security awareness and training is very, very important, like we're doing now, right? It is everybody's responsibility. It's not only IT. Sometimes people think, oh, it's IT security, that it's your responsibility as well. Because if you see something that is bad, you should be able to what? Report it. So it is your responsibility. Researchers need to be trained to recognize phishing and social engineering like we are doing now, right? So we need to be trained and also encourage researchers to report. Right? We need to encourage, we need to have that cyber culture. I'm going to do another training this Friday with the University of Ghana Medical School, and I'm going to talk about culture, cyber culture, from the C-level down to the group level and to the user level. What should we do? What do we need to know? Right? It's very, very important. Some companies, if you report something that is bad that you've seen, you become a victim. No, it shouldn't be. You should encourage people to report. My last slide. I think last one. Yes, so this one I added this dawn around 3 a.m., right? Because I noticed it was it's an area of interest, right? Dealing with insider threats, limit access to research data, right? Restrict administrative rights. It's very, very important. So only few people should have administrative, so maybe 3 people have administrative rights to the place that you are keeping your research. Exercise this privilege and need to know, right? If your work is to enter data, it should be restricted to only data entry. If your work is to go into the system or go into the computer to analyze data, it should be that. It shouldn't be that you go in, you're able to see everything. No. Give people right based on their work role, right? Then limit physical access to sensitive areas. We'll be talking about, there's a webinar coming up in December, right? And I'll be speaking on how to, I think, identify threats or something like that. So please, physical access is very, very important. Where there is a sensitive data, limit access to it. Segregation of duties is also very, very important, right? Make sure you segment people's role. Do background checks, right? Do background checks for people. Make sure that person, verify their credibility, right? Then practice zero trust architecture. Prof talked about that,
Yes,
I think on Tuesday. So when people think about, when you hear about zero trust, we are thinking about, oh, you mean actually trust people that are, no, it's not about you, it's a strategy, right? Zero trust is a strategy. It's not about the people, it's about the system, right? So if I give you access, or maybe Prof came into the system and I authenticate, that doesn't mean that the next time Prof is saying, oh, I know Prof, so what about if Prof has been breached? So anytime the person can go ahead and authenticate the person, that's what we call trust, but what?
verify.
That is what zero. So when you hear zero trust, it's not about they don't trust you as a person. They trust you as a person, but in the system, they always want to make sure that it's the right person coming into our environment. Are you having the right privileges, right? What is the security posture? Now they are coming out with I think there's a new area, they call it CARTA, C-A-R-T-A. It's it talks about risk assessment and something like that, about zero trust. That all the time you need to do continuous risk assessment. Last slide. And my favorite slide, I always use it. Right? Effective cybersecurity programs recognizes that people make organizations secure, not only technology. Some people will think, oh, when we buy this, when we buy that, we are going to be secure. No. You can have the best DLP's data loss prevention. You can have security incident and event monitoring. You can have web application firewall. You can have intrusion prevention, intrusion detection. But if the user is not well trained, can you imagine if the car stops and the person opens the trunk? What is going to happen? You're all going to fall. So security is not only having the technology, but the people that mine the technology, the people that uses the technology, it takes the two. Can you minimize it, right? So people are both the best response when it comes to cyber attacks, but they can also be the weakest link. So as we buy the technology, as we update our system, we should make sure that the people that are using it, we train them, we educate them, we make them aware about some of these little things, so that both security and the training and both technology and the people, we will feel secure. Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure being part of this event. Thank you.